Hey guys, Metro's here, and today we're taking a look at Maexxna, the big spider. All right, even Kel'Thuzad just knows her as that. This is on Heroic, obviously, and this is going to be a full walkthrough guide on how to reliably beat and strategize around Maexxna. All right, really cool concept. For the record, people are already complaining about Nax, saying it's too short, like the wings are not fun, and it's too easy. This is what this is all about, okay? This is obviously the hardest. I'm probably going to do a video for all three of these, but this is pure PvE strategy, okay? I find it as pure as it gets. It's akin to Dark Souls. People say you could bug out the AI. That's what PvE is. You have to work around the AI and the mechanics that you have to deal with. And that's why I love this. It's absolutely amazing. So let's get right into the deck, all right? I'm going to play a Paladin. This is pretty replicable, maybe Priest. Pretty much anyone can do it, and I'm going to tell you why. We're going to go through every card, okay? Blessing of Might is a 1-drop, and it increases the health of a minion by 3. All right, if you haven't surmised by now, what we're going for is pretty much any minion has to either do damage or affect the field immediately. So charges, stuff like that. So Blessing of Might is both good for getting extra damage at the end and getting rid of a card. Now, I've had this discussion already. You definitely need to be cycling cards, but you don't actually want to get another card. You just want to drop a card, because if you get too close to 10, you're going to risk discarding more important cards, all right? So we'll go through that as we do. But eye for an eye, same deal. Pretty much, if you can use it at the end, do so, but you're probably going to need to drop these 4 cards if you see them in your hand early on. Same with Humility. All right, there is going to be a good case for Humility, another 1 mana cost. Basically, you want to fill up, we'll talk about this in the actual match, but you want to fill up the board with 1/1s. He needs to have 7 1/1s. So if he doesn't, then you could Humility 1 to make it a 1/1. Very simple. Elven Archer, pretty much the same deal. This is a card that you could either use to kill one of your own minions, or even take off, like early game, he's going to have 2 1/2s on the board immediately. You could chip those down into the smaller 1/1s, fill up the board quicker. That's a great use for Elven Archer, but otherwise it's a card that you could use to destroy one of your own cards if needed. Voodoo Doctor, good mana early, can be used to combo late game, but 2 health isn't going to really stymie too much, so if you get him early, it's a godsend, but if not, this is a card that you can kill or run into something, or, you know, whatever. Holy Light, this is going to be a saving grace for you. If you get both of these during the course of a game, that's 12 health that you don't have to worry about. It's kind of like a buffer window, a good replacement for other type heal cards, as, you know, Paladin can only dictate. Bluegill Warrior, once again, charge, can be useful at the end, or you can use to destroy a card and try to get something better. Ironbeak Owl is probably going to be mandatory for a deck like this, a match like this. I mean, he's going to use a lot of, there's going to be like 2 or 3 creatures that you could use to silence on. One of them is the Shaded Naxxramas. If that thing gets out of control, you're dead. It's no matter what. If you can get a silence on it early, of course, the AI isn't that smart, so he uses it, breaks it out of stealth very early, so you could Ironbeak it the next turn, and then hope for Aldor Peacekeeper. If you haven't drawn the Humilities yet, same deal. Use this only in dire need, all right? You do not want to put this guy on the board very often, and he's probably going to weigh down your hand. If you get both in your hand, you're probably in trouble, because this is a card that you're only ever going to use once in the entire game, if at all. Arcane Golem, it's a go-to card. This is how you finish the game. He does the most damage out of any 3 drop, and I'll explain why that's important. You know, if I had a I literally do not have a second one, and I don't care to craft one, but I would definitely recommend 2. No reason not to. The replacement I put in is actually Leroy Jenkins. He does 4, he's a 4-drop, but he does 6 damage, and you can work around that. I'll explain why. This is a very important card here, Earthen Ring Farseer. Probably the second most important card in the deck. There are 2 of them, of course. It restores 3. Now, if you can get both of these, alright, this is what you want to do at the end game. This is how you cycle the damage, okay? If you can get both of these, then you could heal for 6 every single turn, okay, and drop Leroy when needed. All right, but having 3 creatures on the board is suboptimal, because one of them is going to stay behind, and if it doesn't even matter who it is. If you drop both Earthen Rings and Leroy, one of them is going to die. All right, and oftentimes it's going to come at the cost of him cycling a card, which has, you know, cycling a minion on the board, which has the potential for him dropping something very dangerous. And if it's towards the end of the game, this is not a good idea. So it can be done, of course, but it's very risky, all right? Especially if he kills, I mean, anything. If any of these 3 die, you're in trouble, obviously. So, and it's going to happen. Wolf Rider, once again, another good alternative to Arcane Golem. Does pretty much just, I mean, it doesn't really matter. 3 to 4, it's just going to take a few more turns, not a big deal. We talked about Leroy already. Holy Wrath is just in case you get stuck early. Pretty much the only card I could think of that goes in the deck well. You know, you can do some damage, could be used at the end as well if you're like pushing for a kill, but 5 mana is just too high. This is a card that, you know, you could also use to just get out of your hand and maybe get a good card out of it, but probably not. Guardian Kings, this is without question, like, this is how you survive the game. So he's gonna, as we've talked about the combo previously, either double Earthen Ring and Leroy, or Guardian of Kings and Arcane Golem or Wolf Rider. All right, this is the ideal combo. All right, this is what you're looking for late game. You're gonna take 7 damage every single turn. So if you could heal up 6 of it, then you're only gonna take 1 damage every single turn. And we'll show that off in the game itself, but this is pretty much mandatory, especially with Paladin. Very easy. I guess it could be done around Druid as well. They have a good, I think that only heals 5 though, so that would be potentially an issue. But either way, this is a very good option. You're going to drop him every turn as soon as you get him. So you're pretty much, I'm not going to say mulligan for him, but if you don't get him and Alexstrasza probably before turn 6, you might as well just concede. In fact, there's a case, you might want to make a case for a mulligan for either Guardian of Kings, Alexstrasza, probably Earthen Ring, Farseer, or Voodoo Doctor, or maybe Holy Lights. If you don't get any of those in your hand, you're never going to go second as well, so you're always only going to get 3 cards. If you don't get any of those in your opening hand, then I would probably just concede and start over, because there's no penalty to doing that. But anyway, Alexstrasza then is the final card, and unfortunately, I know it sucks, and maybe try to do like a budget version of this, but this is the only legendary you need. Honestly, probably the only non-common you need. I don't even think, I guess Leroy, but we're not needing him. Aldor Peacekeeper can be taken out. Seriously, it does not help that much. Yeah, so literally the only non-common you need. Oh, well, Arcane Golem. Yeah, so you need two rares and 1 legendary. That's it. All of this other stuff can be taken out. And you could easily do this with 15 cards. If there was a way to do it with 15 cards, it would be so much easier. Because like 10 of these cards are completely useless. They don't help the strategy at all. But Alexstrasza is 100% mandatory. I do not see... If you haven't gotten Alexstrasza, I would do anything in your power to get it immediately. Because these are not going to get any easier. These heroics, like... One of them, the guy's got 90 health. You know what I mean? How do you win that? You just pop Alexstrasza, now he's got 15. Are you kidding me? Like, how easy is that? So, yeah, you gotta have Alexstrasza. When the opponent's got 45 to 90 health, what are you doing without Alexstrasza? It's just gotta be mandatory. And if you can survive till then, it literally, I mean, it's gonna one-shot the boss. So, that's the rant on Alex. If you don't have it, you need to go get it. So that's it. So Guardian of Kings, like I said, and Arcane Golem's the goal. And you're going to see how I get there. It's going to be an interesting journey because the first few turns are really... you're on edge. You're certainly on edge. And we'll talk about stratagem as we get through it. But just understand that you're basically mulliganing and early gaming to open the board up. They need to have 7 1/1 creatures. That's the only way you could win this. You cannot win it otherwise. Not with this deck anyway. You cannot survive 8 damage a turn. You cannot survive 9. Does not matter. You have to make sure you use Iron Beak Owl on anything that's going to, benefit from a silence to do less damage. And Eye for an Eye, Humility, and Aldor Peacekeeper to reduce the damage you take. All right, that's the only time you use those cards, unless you're trying to cycle, open up the slot for something better. But it really... It's pretty RNG based, so it's going to depend a lot on your first few hands. So let's get right into the gameplay. We'll talk about strategy in there. Alright, so you immediately see the mulligan. Alright, like I said, you got a mulligan for something useful. If you're not getting anything useful in the first hand, you might as well just concede. There's no harm in it. Literally no harm in it. Just go ahead and do it. At this point, I see Holy Light, and this is going to be the third time I try to record this to get a good match. So I'll take it. Holy Light's not the worst thing in the world. And, you know, all it means is that I have to record it again and maybe get something different. But immediately you're going to see, you know, this is the good part about this. Look at this. Besides that moving, whatever that was. Anyway, the fact that there are 3 minions already on the board that can be broken down to fill the board. How good is that? So you see me going to work right now. The Elven Archer's going on the board. He's going to start chipping away the 1/2, turn it into 2 1/1s. The goal of the early game is to fill the board. He's already got 4 creatures on the board. If I can kill that one, he's got 5, I guess. Yeah, 5. So we'll see what happens next turn. But regardless, this should be your strategy from the get-go. Now I got a good 1-drop. You never want to play more than 2 cards. Don't forget about that. Or never want to play more than 2 creatures because it's going to get traded against one of the creatures on the other side of the board, and that is the opposite of what you want. So now he's got 5 1/1s. I'm looking pretty. 6 1/1s. All right, so we're in good shape. Here we go, living the dream. Pretty good chance he could throw down a Shaded Naxxramas at this point, which is a scary proponent. But luckily we got the Iron Beak Owl and the Humility already in our hand. If we didn't have those, we'd be in some trouble. But I'm just going to go ahead and heal once again. And we're going to start chipping away at the 1/2 just in case he doesn't play something next turn. But yeah, I mean, this is all you do, literally. This is a game of patience. If you've ever played Dark Souls before, I know it's a silly comparison, but it's very, very, very similar. You know when you have your invincibility frames, quote unquote, and that's what we're exploiting, invincibility in some regards, okay? And you know when you could deliver the big blows, and you don't get greedy at all costs. Do not get greedy. That's the best I could recommend. Here, a greed play would be this. Watch what I do. Super greedy. All right? This is a greed play, and it does not need to happen. But I do it for the sake of the video. Now, he's got a full board. I could have easily silenced that, humilitied that, any of those 2 combos. But instead, I play 2 creatures on the board. Greed play. That was a greed play. Assuming I'm going to get another good charge minion is not ever a good idea. There was better options to deal with that, all right? But that was for the sake of the video. And now he's got a full board, all right? So here is, once he's got a full board, phase 2 begins, all right? That's the transition into phase 2. Now it's time to survive until you can get your God combo. And that involves Alexstrasza first, and then heals and damage second. All right, so I'm just popping everything I have. Try to clear out as many cards as possible. I'm looking at the humility, the might. I mean, eye for an eye. Those might get played. You know, thinking about that in my head, thinking about putting those on the board, just because I don't want to get too close to 8. Because if I get too close to, if I had 9 cards and I draw, what's that? I can't even remember the name of the card, but the card that you draw a card and you deal the damage it does. Then I'll have 10, and then the next turn I'll discard unless I can that turn. So you want to try to stay at 8. At all costs, especially this early, because if for some reason something happens that you discard Alexstrasza, it's over. Literally your whole, you know, all the time you just spent was wasted. You cannot beat this without Alexstrasza. So we're just playing the waiting game here at this point. Literally just kind of sitting here waiting for it to happen. And that's all part of it. It's very much a game of patience. That's why I love this, because this is so PvE, it's not even funny. It's all about exploiting the mechanics. There you see I use one of the mites because I know I'm not going to be able to hang on to 2 of the same card for very long without having to worry about discarding, and there's no real benefit from it anyway. It just makes the game go a bit faster. So it's a good option to discard any duplicate 1-drops you have. That's why there's 6 1-drops in there, so you can discard all 6 of them and still, like, you don't want to use cards that are completely useless. I've had a friend of mine try to like rationalize using cards that are completely useless and just get rid of them the second you see them. But that's silly. Play cards that could actually help you win. There's better options, you know what I mean? I guess it depends on some classes, but anyway, so now we're healing for 5 a turn. That's gonna, you know, reduce to 2 damage for now, but I'm really hoping to see either Alexstrasza, Guardian of Kings. One of those has to come up quickly because I'm slowly losing this battle. But this is it. It's pure control. This is as control as you can play in this game. Oh, there we go. True Silver Champion. God draw right there. That's why you want one of those in there, because you're going to see what I do here. May not be this turn. No, it's definitely not this turn. But you're going to see why True Silver Champion's crazy. Because once he has a full board, he can't get rid of your... you can't get rid of your weapon. He does have an ooze, so if he does not have a full board, do not play the weapon. Even if it's to get rid of it, you want it. This is a card you want to have because it's 8 damage and 4 health, always. And that's extremely important. That 4 health could be the reason you win or you lose. And that 8 damage... You know, for some reason you don't have the heals, you're in trouble too. All right, so here's Alexstrasza, but I'm looking. He can kill me next turn. He has lethal next turn if I don't heal. So I have to heal. So here's what I'm going to do. 5 health from the 2 minions. That's all I can play. I can only play 2 minions because he's going to trade otherwise. And then 2 health from that. And the 4 damage is irrelevant because I'm Alexstrasza next turn. And I'm considering using one of these 1-drops just to get him off the board. Do I end up doing it? I do. Just get one of them off the board. The card's coming back. It doesn't matter what its damage is either way, even if it doesn't come back. But I'm never going to use that humility anyway. He's got the full board. His board won't ever change, so it's time to just burn it. And now we're comfortable waiting for Guardian of Kings. So here we go. Next turn, I should be able to survive as long as he doesn't get me below 7, which he does. He gets me below 6, but I could heal up with the weapon even if I don't have the Voodoo Doctor, but I do have the Voodoo Doctor, so I'm going to take him from 41 to 15. Unreal, immensely important card. And that's it. I win now pretty much because I could even Alex myself if I need. I drew Guardian. Literally couldn't go any better. At this point, if you don't have Guardian and you do have Alex, just Alex yourself every turn. He cannot kill you. Like, he can't ever kill you from 15. The max he could do is 7 damage. Unless you've done it wrong. And if you've done it wrong, then just restart. There's no point in trying. It's a PvE match. Like I said, there's no point. You know, there's no shame in conceding. Nobody else is going to see this. So that's it. I'm going to Alex myself just to get some buffer. You know, what's that? 12 damage. The 12 heals obviously a lot nicer. Then I'm going to just heal up to 17. This is just to give myself some time to talk in the video as I am now. And like I said, the way to finish this is with the combo I illustrated earlier. Oh, which I don't have yet. That's actually why. And I got one, the Murgle. So I can throw down Guardian of Kings to heal for 5. I'm only going to take 1 damage per turn. And then Murgle. If for some reason if for some reason you're in a position where you can't kill him quick enough. So good example here. I'm going to Bluegill Warrior. That's going to do 2 damage. All right. I'm still going to take 1 damage. So this is going to take 4 more turns. 4 to 5 more turns. Based on what I draw, right? Well, if he can kill you in that, if you're for some reason at like 5 health when you start this, then he can kill you in those 5 turns. That means you have to use Alex 1 turn, all right? And that's all you do. You literally just Alex, or even take a turn where you can heal. If you could just heal for 8 in 1 turn, that's fine. Then you gain an extra turn out of it. Maybe maybe 9's more realistic because you're going turn negative otherwise, right? You want to make sure you're gaining turns. But that's it. So I use a king or might on him. It is over. Once you draw Alex and Kings, it's over. All you gotta do is have some damage. It can literally be an Elven Archer. You can easily make this go. You can do infinite turns. You could make this go for hours if you had to. Once you have Kings and Alex, it is over. It is literally over. And I keep saying Kings, but you know what I mean. Guardian of Kings. That's what we call it in WoW. So a lot of weird mannerisms. I don't usually make a lot of Hearthstone videos, but that's it. That's the lethal. Look at that. Legendary is right. You're damn right, buddy. Good play. And now you got to taunt him. I am sorry. He goes, yes. So that's it. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, really, really, really love the heroics.